kind of perplexing. So that basically that they didn't learn that this vehicle was stolen through their system that they use with other law enforcement agencies. So it's possible that this vehicle was stolen very recently, or it's also possible that LAPD, really close there, even saw the vehicle being stolen. But you see how crazy they're driving here. LAPD may even have to back off into tracking mode. We'll see, or we'll see if they hand it off to CHP. But now we're making our way towards the Reseda exit here, eastbound on the 101, as we head through Tarzana and towards the 405.
That's right. Yeah, they're going through Encino now, coming up on White Oak Avenue. And is that their lights? The rear lights seem to, don't know if they're like putting on the brake for, off and on there. See that? What is that, Desmond? Or is that a hazard signal?
I think they're maybe just tapping on the brakes, maybe just getting ready if they have to slam on the brakes because they're driving crazy, or I don't know, maybe it's a signal, or they're what's Morse code? I'm not entirely sure, but it is kind of a random there. But I'm going to widen out and show you here. The law enforcement, it really kind of looks like they've backed off at this point, and I don't believe, or maybe my pilot Chris can tell me if they had their helicopter overhead this. At some point, we didn't see a law enforcement spotlight or anything, but when they were on surface streets there, they were definitely pursuing this vehicle. But, okay, apparently LAPD's helicopter is overhead, but they must be in tracking mode at this point because we would see a spotlight on, but when they go into tracking mode, they'll turn that off. You try to be a little bit more incognito with these suspects. So from what I'm seeing right now, it looks like they are going into tracking mode, and indeed they are requesting CHP to come in and take this over. So we'll see if that indeed happens as we really fly here towards the 405.
And you're right. And, we will be able to tell if that's what they're going to do, if they're going to make that exit to the 405 coming up, because that is the next one where they're veering right, Desmond, so that could possibly what they're going to do. And as soon as I say that, then they get further in the left lane. So they have an opportunity to, of course, get on the 405 freeway, north or south, or to continue on the 101, or, of course, they could exit to some surface streets. Don't necessarily know what this driver is going to do, and I'm assuming that it's a driver. We don't know about anyone else being in the car, do we, Daz?
Haven't heard any word about any passengers on this one. But, yeah, you saw the erratic moves there on the left side of the freeway and then cutting all the way to the right like they were going to go to the 405 and then cutting right back to the southbound 101 here as we now make our way towards the 134. A lot of times there's Caltrans construction that goes on at this time of night where they've been rebuilding the center divider. I do not see any road work, though, taking place on this southbound side. And but pretty some high speeds now getting off the freeway, so we're going to exit at Van Nuys Boulevard into a pretty crowded area of Sherman Oaks. We'll see if the suspect goes north or south. You see it quickly taking that exit there, not even slowing down through that red light, making the red. I think going down towards Ventura Boulevard. Lots of restaurants, lots of pedestrians out here. Definitely a dangerous situation. I thought I saw a flicker of a spotlight there, and we'll see if LAPD decides to re-engage now that we're back on surface streets.
Okay, and this is a Honda Blue Passport, from what we understand, according to our assignment desk, as you had mentioned, with Texas plates. And again, it's just
right through.
They went right through that red light there, just crossed Moore Park, and keeps. And another red light.
Another one, right through Ventura.
Yeah, certainly not paying attention to traffic signals here, besides the speed. So, again, it's interesting. I want you to point out again that this was a stolen vehicle, but not necessarily reported at the time.
You're right. So that could mean several things here, and it looks like the suspect may be making their way up towards Beverly Glen. We'll see going to the end of Van Nuys Boulevard where this bends around and leads to Beverly Glen, one of the canyon roads that goes over the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah, wonder if he's
so they were
following
calling
Waze.
it a fresh.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, trying to avoid the 405. Well, he's definitely going. I don't think Waze would tell him to go on the wrong side of the road. Wow, around a blind curve even. So this is getting pretty crazy. Now you can see LAPD. They are back on this one, so it looks like they may be back into an active pursuit. But yeah, a fresh stolen is what or rather unreported, which might mean that this just happened very recently. It could have been a situation where someone, got out to go get some gas and their car was stolen. Maybe they, went into a convenience store trying to go get a soft drink or something and left the engine running and it was stolen. It might mean something like that, or it may have just happened so recently that it hasn't gone into the stolen vehicle reporting system that law enforcement agencies all use. And that's actually, our understanding is that that's actually a nationwide system that law enforcement uses, but this vehicle was not in that system, so it's very curious how it was stolen. And you see just going around these vehicles. I mean, this is a windy road right here.
Yeah.
Not hesitating to go on the wrong side of the road to get around traffic, and not even doing it in a sports car. We were talking about an SUV, possibly a minivan. I believe this is a smaller SUV, but we're coming up to Mulholland now. If this would have been at rush hour, this person would have already gotten into a head-on collision. Oh, just so dangerous watching this person do this, Pat. We'll see what they decide to do when they get to Mulholland Drive.
I was going to say, even if you're a careful driver and you're navigating your way through some of those streets there in the canyon, the mountains, it's pretty difficult. And the reason I mentioned Waze, because I know I had followed that Beverly Glen Boulevard trying to get around, getting on the freeway to where I had to go. And, I'm just thinking, well, this has Texas plates, so that doesn't necessarily mean that this person doesn't have an idea as to where they're going, but it does make you wonder, because when we joined you, Des, this person was on the 101 freeway heading south. Do we know where this vehicle was possibly stolen from, or the area?
Well, we first picked it up with a Van Nuys frequency, so we believe that that's at least where the pursuit initiated, but no word on where the stolen vehicle, this might have happened. So, this vehicle has Texas plates, and I'm definitely wondering if the driver is from out of state, because you do not drive on Beverly Glen like this or Mulholland. I mean, even if you had a sports car, it's just ridiculous that the speed limit, I think, on Mulholland is only 25, maybe 30 miles an hour, and this person is in a big lumbering vehicle trying to get around these streets. Now, LAPD is officially back in pursuit on this one. Still not seeing the spotlight, but here we go around these turns on Mulholland, and maybe finally slowing down a little bit. At one point was looking like they might lose control. We'll get back around here. We just have a lot of trees we have to get around. We'll see if they decide to take Benedict Canyon, wrong side of Mulholland. There's a lot of people that come up here to look at the stars, look at the city, fantastic views of LA, and you have someone who's craning their neck to the side looking at the city, and they don't see someone coming directly at them in their lane.
And look how fast he's going. And let's face it, sometimes when you're making those curves like that, you don't have a big, I don't want to say, the railing, they're not that big in some areas or some parts of Mulholland Drive. And you could take a turn too fast, and you know what could happen. That's not a good idea at all. You could end up down that mountain.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Here you see people getting out of the way. Maybe they heard the sirens coming, but driving like this on Mulholland, this is likely to end very, very badly. Just deliberately on the wrong side of the road. I mean, it's not even that he's trying to evade any traffic. It's almost just like this person is trying to intentionally be as dangerous as possible right now. But you see the spotlight overhead so close right there with that vehicle, and so many of these turns on Mulholland. It's a very windy street. And like I said, the speed limit's only maybe 25 miles an hour or so on this street. So very, very nerve-wracking watching this person deliberately driving on the wrong side of the road.
Now, he's at Mulholland Drive, Coldwater Canyon in Beverly Glen. And again, just very steep, winding roads at time. And in the darkness of night, which is really just makes it even more dangerous. It's enough to drive in broad daylight, but to drive at the speeds that this person is driving and making these turns and on the wrong side of the road, as you mentioned, Desmond, this could be a very, it could not end up well for this driver. Or these other drivers that happen to be, that just come up upon this guy driving. And I say guy, we assume that it's a male, but we don't know that for sure. But let's just say this driver. And you see how fast he's taking that curve again?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a particularly weird intersection, the merger of Coldwater and Mulholland, where they come together for a spell right up here at the top, and they are as one street before they branch back off, and that's where they branch back off. So it looks like it's going to stay on Mulholland instead of taking Coldwater down towards Beverly Hills. Our assignment desk telling us that it was a Van Nuys unit that initially tried to pull this vehicle over. They were following it, and then they decided to try to pull it over after they had units engaged, and then the chase was on when the person wouldn't stop on this one. So very dark up here, and a really windy road, Pat.
And they're still behind the driver. That's correct. LAPD is still behind him on the ground. Well,
they're back there. Yeah, I can see the red and blue coming into the shot. They're back maybe about a quarter of a mile.
Okay.
But they do have that spotlight overhead,
see it.
and so we're staying on. Yeah, and we're staying on this side of the trees to give LAPD some space because they're directly over the vehicle right now. So Laurel Canyon will be next. Still quite a few more turns before they get to that point. If there's any saving grace here, it's that these observation areas are closed at 9 o'clock. So technically there shouldn't be anybody up here that's just going for a scenic drive and stopping at one of these. But look at this. A couple of cars now that he's overtaking. Several other vehicles, wrong side, not even hesitating, just getting right over to that side. Been incredibly fortunate that didn't hit somebody. And right there, cross traffic. There's going to be folks up here, even though those observation areas are closed down now that it's after 9 o'clock. But really just gritting my teeth on this one.
Look at those. Well, we've run into some cars parked there, and there are some businesses on this.
Okay,
now they just turned out. They lost control. Did it hit something,
Yep.
Desmond? I can't really tell from here.
It
that railing,
yeah,
maybe?
It looked like it might have clipped. Yeah, it looked like he clipped the side of that railing, and very lucky that there was railing there, or they would have gone over the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
And these are some very steep drops off of Mulholland. We're at the very top here of this section of the Santa Monica Mountains between the valley and the basin. And, that's what I'm talking about. And this person isn't driving a Porsche. They're driving an SUV here that is definitely not designed to be taking turns like this. You really see this person struggling. And
let me ask you this, Desmond.
You would hope that
there
they would
is,
think better.
On the wrong side of the road again. Nope, my question was already answered. I was going to say after law enforcement saw him, crash into that railing somewhat, did they back off? But no, I see they are still behind him, still behind this driver.
Yeah, they are still behind the driver, and we're
That's
trying
really dark.
to keep up with them right here. Yeah, I'm wondering if I might have turned the headlights off as we're coming up to Laurel Canyon here shortly. We'll see if we can get any closer on this, or maybe might have made a turn off into one of these little residential streets. I see the LAPD helicopter right there overhead, and we're very close to Laurel Canyon right now, and the LAPD helicopter is now doing orbits around this little area, so we'll move around, and it looks like they did stop.
Him?
Might have gotten out. I'm wondering if they got out might have gotten out and run.
Mm-hmm.
As we come around, we'll see if we can come around to the south side and get a better view, or I'm starting to see some smoke and wondering if this ended in a crash. Yeah, they are at a stop here.
But actually, when this person started driving, this is more of a residential area now. When he made that turn, you almost think that they did it on purpose to stop and try to, do a foot bail or something. But it's interesting that LAPD they're at a stop, at a full stop there, and we can't see the car. Can you see it, Desmond?
Yeah, we got
that blue passport.
We're trying to make our way around. It looks like this probably ended in a crash here, Pat. Just we were not on the right side of it here because of law enforcement, and it's a very steep street, or rather, windy street with a lot of trees here. And
you could see.
So there it is, and
part of the tree in the road, and
that's
that's the vehicle.
That's the vehicle right here, and this is how we were afraid it was going to end in a pretty nasty crash. This SUV going like this, just not capable of taking these turns at high speeds, and now we see up on the embankment here, just widen out, and doesn't look like anyone else was hit. This could have very easily been a head-on collision, or could have T-boned someone around that corner. But right up on the embankment, we're still kind of behind a tree, so we'll keep coming around here. But we'll see if the driver is injured. I'm sure they're extremely shaken up. They haven't come out yet, and maybe they're disoriented, or maybe they're non-compliant. It's unclear at this point.
Well, you know, we can tell our viewers that this is certainly not the first time that this vehicle crashed, so to speak. It hit a railing, kind of spun out there, and then kept going, and this is now where this driver has ended up. And as Desmond mentioned, not very surprised at this, but you know what? Lucky for that driver, Desmond, that he's ended up going up a mountain and not down, because that would have been a very different scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we already saw that driver clip the side of the railing earlier there when they were closer to Coldwater Canyon. And this was, you know, didn't even make it to Laurel. This is where there are maybe even some of the steeper turns here as you make your way eastbound on Mulholland. And obviously, the driver obviously not familiar with this road, or just desperate and not paying attention, not caring, taking a lot of chances there. And at least this didn't end with any innocent people being injured. But LAPD now indicating that this person may be trying to continue going, that they're trying to spin the vehicle in reverse and get off of this hillside. But this is probably just a two-wheel drive car, and I think they're stuck in those bushes pretty good, Pat.
So you know what, in terms of what they would do next, if they are indeed trying to do that, they haven't approached this vehicle yet, because I'm surmising they don't know necessarily if this person is armed or not. We just had report that this vehicle was stolen, and then he engaged officers in a pursuit, not stopping, and it has Texas license plates. But could that be the reason why they haven't approached the vehicle yet?
Yeah, most likely. I think in general, if they don't get out and try to get a suspect right away, then they're probably going to. There you see the reverse lights coming on right now. So they are still trying to back up. But most likely, I think that it's safe to assume that LAPD is going to think that this person may be armed and dangerous. Sometimes, right when there's a crash or a pursuit comes to an end, sometimes you'll see the police just come run up really quickly and try to grab the person out of the car. This was going to be a pretty difficult situation to try to do that, and so they didn't. And now it's kind of a standoff, but
the rear view wipers are going.
A pursuit kind of spinning its wheels. Yeah, I noticed the windshield wipers going on both sides of the car, and trying to get some of that dirt off the rear window. Or I think the driver's probably just panicking, going between park and reverse. But this vehicle is lodged in the side of this hill pretty good. I don't think they're going to be going anywhere.
No, and still putting his foot on the brake every now and then. We can see the brake lights go on and off. He's been doing that all night as he was driving.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of weird stuff on this pursuit for sure. Now we've got the window wipers going, and probably just, I don't know, hopefully this driver's going to realize that it's over. You're very lucky to be alive. You're really lucky you didn't hurt anybody else. Let's just bring this to an end. Just come out, put those cuffs on.
That's right. And, you know, too, if this was a stolen vehicle, well, you know, hopefully you'd rather see something like this where no one is hurt. Hate to see that person who owns that vehicle, of course, but at the same time, it could have been much worse. I can't see from here how badly damaged this van is, but we know it is. But again, it certainly looks like it could be repairable. And I say that because we've seen some crashes that certainly, you know, the car could be totaled for sure. But this, especially if they're still trying to move the vehicle and he's still trying to spin the wheels. But the way it looks now, I don't know how he can do anything, quite frankly. In that position,
yeah,
hasn't been able to do it yet.
Yeah. They're right up against I mean, on the hillside at a pretty steep angle right now, and hopefully for the owner of this vehicle, the airbags didn't come out. They very well may have, just going up on this hillside. If they did, then this vehicle, you know, will be totaled regardless of the other damage, almost certainly. But still, not showing any signs of giving up, and I'm afraid we may be entering a standoff situation here on Mulholland Drive. not too far away from Laurel Canyon. So LAPD is going to be shutting this section of Mulholland Drive down. These poor folks are stuck right here. It's going to be kind of tough for them to turn around. It's a pretty narrow street, and no shoulder right there. There in the distance there, you see Laurel Canyon. So we were really close to Laurel, and that could have presented, some real dangers here if they would have gone blasting through the light at Laurel. I almost guarantee would have caused a nasty collision. So, yeah, like you said, Pat, it's certainly not a good ending for the owner of this vehicle, but for the public, this could have been a much, much worse ending.
Yeah, so we're thankful for that and that no one was hurt. And now, as you say, we're just in a standoff position, waiting for either law enforcement to approach this vehicle. You wonder if they can even open the door, Des. Don't know that for sure.
Yeah, it's possible it could have gotten jammed shut in all this, but it looks like the engine's still on. At the very least, should be able to roll down one of the windows and throw the keys out if they wanted to. Now the brake light's going on and off again, and not seeing the wheels spin, but it's kind of tapping on those brakes for whatever reason. So very peculiar behavior.
Yes, and looks like he's going to be there for a while because they certainly haven't got out to approach this vehicle or try to get this person out of the car, and we're not sure if they can open the door and get out themselves or exactly what's going on here. But we're going to stay with this, Desmond. In fact, right now I'm going to toss it over to Susie Sa on KCAL 9 News at 10, and I'll be talking with you again shortly.
Thank you so much. You are watching KCAL 9 News at 10. This is breaking news. A pursuit comes to a crashing end along Mulholland Drive tonight after a wild chase. This all started in Van Nuys. This car has Texas license plates, and it is the driver of a stolen car. Let's go upstairs now to Desmond Shaw live in Sky 9 with an update for us. Desmond, how did we end up here?
Well, Susie, with this started down near the 101 freeway when we heard about it. Was then on some surface streets in Woodland Hills and Tarzana. They got back on the freeway, drove really crazy to Van Nuys Boulevard, made their way up to Beverly Glen, and just could not believe the way this person was driving on Mulholland. And I was saying if they continue driving this big SUV around these turns pretty fast, it's going to end in a crash. It nearly ended with the suspect flying off a cliff earlier when they were lucky that there was some guardrail on that section of Mulholland. They continued and then ended up on the side of the hillside right here. You can see the turn coming around, and again, this person was not driving a Porsche or a Ferrari. This is just a run-of-the-mill SUV, or actually a minivan that they were driving, so even less maneuverable than an SUV, and lost control. Fortunately, didn't hit any innocent people, but ended up on the hillside. We saw the driver trying to put it in reverse gear to get off the hill. There you see the brake lights going on and off again as well. So even though this looks like this vehicle given up and does not want to get off of this hillside, the driver does not want to get out of the car, Susie.
And Desmond, have you seen officers try to approach the vehicle at all at this point?
No, not at all. It's not, they're not going to think that it's safe at this point, especially when the driver's still trying to, jigger the minivan free. They're not going to want to come and stand next to this vehicle if there's any possibility that they can dislodge the car and get it back on the roadway and, possibly, run over an officer or something like that. So they're definitely calling out, telling this person to give up. They're not complying, and if this continues, well, we'll just have to see. It could be the beginning of yet another very long LA standoff. If you were with us on Friday, you saw how long that one lasted, I think 3 or 4 hours, and that one was actually on the shorter side. Sure,
and covering pursuits, Desmond, you know that there are different jurisdictions who have different modes of operation, obviously, when a pursuit comes to an end. The CHP, for example, is pretty aggressive with their tactics, and they'll actually go in if that person is not armed, and they will just go in and grab that person. But the LAPD more cautious tonight. We don't know if this person is armed. We don't know what kind of state of mind they're in. We don't even know if they've been injured in this crash or not. We haven't seen any movement inside the car or lights turning on or signals or anything like that being given to officers. Maybe a light in the background. I don't know if that's a reflection off of a different light from the street or not, but it looks like something's happening inside. It looks like some reflection. But we haven't seen any movement from this car. So as far as officers are concerned, they are still probably unclear too right now as to whether or not this person, this individual, is injured or possibly worse. We don't know at this point. We don't know how many people are inside this car. As far as we know, Desmond, just the driver, that's all we knew about, right?
Yes, that's correct. We believe there's just one person inside. Now, here's LAPD setting up some spike strips. So they're being kind of strategic here. They're going to see if they can get some spike strips out in the unlikely event that this driver is able to get this van free from the hillside and continue, because they have been trying to do that. And it looks like the window maybe cracked open just a little bit. I was just trying to see if maybe the airbag's deployed in this or not. It is entirely possible that the driver suffered some sort of whiplash or something when they went up on the side of the hill. But they must still think that they're capable of driving at the very least, just based on, what we've been seeing, trying to throw it in reverse, spin those tires free. We've seen them tapping on the brake pedals as well. But here you see them beginning to set out some spike strips. And you mentioned about approaching the vehicle. It really just kind of depends on the situation and what they're wanted for. We've definitely seen instances in the past where the police will just come up, and if it's someone who maybe is suspected of DUI or being in a troubled mental state or something, they might come right up to the vehicle, knock out the window if they have to, and drag the driver out. Stolen vehicles, not quite as likely to see that, Susie.
All right. Well, Desmond, we assume that they're going to get this person out of the vehicle at some point, but right now they're just lodged there on the side of that mountain, lodged on the side of that hillside. And I'm sure we will come back to this, possibly if you can get a shot of them either getting this person out of the car, or at least getting the car down the hillside. That would certainly be some progress. But right now, we're going to move on to other news.
Well, changes tonight when it comes to masking up on public transportation. LA County Metro dropped its mandate today.
Now, it's the last Southern California mass transit agency to do that. But now there's word the feds may try to bring the mask rules back. KCAL9's Lori Perez.
give them an opportunity to insert a gas canister inside the vehicle as well if they do attempt to smoke the suspect out of the SUV. So we'll see if they proceed with that tactic, but in any event, he certainly still appears to be stuck up there again after several attempts at trying to drive off of the hill. The vehicle has really not moved other than the spinning wheels. Now the added problem of some of the neighbors here in the Hollywood Hills coming out to catch a glimpse of what has just happened in their quiet neighborhood. LAPD now instructing everybody to stay inside, asking everybody who can hear this to stay inside and stay out of the way. Obviously, right now this is still a very fluid and dangerous situation, and in the event that they would have to use force, they certainly don't want to have any other pedestrians in the line of fire, and that would include anybody who lives uphill from where this vehicle came to rest here along Mulholland Drive. All right, another call out going out now for a canine unit, waiting for the big dogs to arrive now before they proceed any further. Trying to make out if there's any more movement coming from that crack in the driver's side window. Seems like I keep seeing some shape, but I can't really make out any real clear movement. Have you seen anything, Josh? Can you tell? Looks like the airbag may have been deployed in there, but very difficult to make out what's going on inside the driver's seat there. Once again, we are unclear on whether the driver is injured in this situation. We do know he's attempted to move the vehicle, has not worked, but whether he is hurt or immobilized inside the cab of this SUV is really anybody's guess. Just not clear on whether he's even capable of climbing out of the vehicle if indeed he was hurt. Those airbags are powerful enough to cause injury and all by themselves. So depending on the impact of that airbag and other factors, we'll have to wait and see if they can rely on him to surrender or whether they're going to have to approach the vehicle or send the dog up there to get a better idea of whether there's anybody else reacting inside the vehicle. So they're waiting for more backup, waiting for a canine unit. They have less than lethal rounds ready at their disposal in the event they choose to blow out one of those windows, one of the rear windows likely on that SUV. Again, if you're just joining us, this was a stolen SUV with Texas plates. Don't have too much information on the suspects here, but I could tell you that the driving that we saw over the course of this pursuit was some of the most dangerous pursuit driving we've seen, especially on narrow residential streets like Mulholland Drive and Beverly Glen in the heart of the Hollywood Hills. Looks like a little bit of movement there. I thought I caught something, unless it was just a reflection. Again, this has now essentially turned into a standoff situation with the driver not responding to commands by those officers who are probably about 50 to 70 feet away. Should be able to hear them. That driver's side window has remained cracked the whole time. The vehicle has not moved at all. We haven't even seen him try and accelerate through this or put it back in reverse like he did early on when he first crashed. Now he's just sitting in there. We don't know his condition. We do believe that the airbag likely was deployed, but other than that, really difficult to tell what is going on inside the vehicle. Now, LAPD does have technology that allows them to get a better idea of A, how many people are inside the vehicle and whether there's any kind of movement going on, especially in that driver's seat. So the LAPD airship remains overhead here, also providing light assistance to those officers on the ground. They've got their own floodlights aimed up on the hillside there. About a dozen units now in position as they ready the canine dogs and await further instructions from the watch commander to see how they're going to proceed here. Assuming the suspect does not surrender in the next few moments. Yeah, I'm good with that. Good call. That would have been quite a fall there. Almost spun off the edge of the cliff. Once again, if you're just joining us, want to go ahead and recap what you're looking at here, the end of a wild police chase through the streets of the San Fernando Valley, ending up on the 101 freeway into Sherman Oaks before that driver of that stolen Honda Passport, reportedly with Texas plates, exited the freeway, ran up into the Hollywood Hills there, up Valley Vista, and then onto Beverly Glen before turning onto Mulholland Drive all the way east into Studio City, where he lost control after driving the wrong way on Mulholland Drive with lots of tight turns, a lot of close calls, several near misses, a few almost head-on collisions, quite frankly, before he spun out. And instead of rolling down the hillside, he managed to recover the vehicle enough to the point where he was able to drive and gas the vehicle all the way up onto the hillside, where he is now completely immobilized. This has now turned into a standoff situation. LAPD weighing their options. Not clear. Again, we have no idea whether there's anybody other than the driver inside of that SUV, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of movement coming from that driver's side window. You can see it's a little bit cracked there. Thought I saw a little bit of movement a short time ago. So what we may see here in the next few minutes, it sounds like LA City Fire has been called out to the scene. And you can imagine that a great way to kind of creep up on this vehicle, if they feel it's safe to do so, would be with potentially a ladder truck or a fire truck with a ladder, and maybe extend it up towards the driver's side of the vehicle. That might be an option, and maybe they can get a better glimpse inside the vehicle. That could be something that we see, send officers up on that ladder. Otherwise, they may blow out that rear windshield and see if they can get a better vantage point through the rear of the vehicle to see if there's any movement detected in that driver's seat. About 1 hour. Hold that shot. I'm going to try and get the airship going through it. On the north side, got it. And now you can see a lot more backup pulling into the area here. You have units on the north side, units on the south side along Mulholland Drive. You've got fire trucks making their way into the area, as well as canine units who you saw there just a moment ago making their way out here to this pursuit termination, where those dogs are going to come in very, very handy in getting a better idea of whether there's any reaction coming from the driver's seat, and eventually officers are going to be in a position where they're likely going to have to approach the vehicle based on the information that they have, not knowing whether that suspect has been injured, but also not knowing whether the suspect is armed. So a delicate and dangerous situation, no matter how you slice it. A number of options at their disposal, although those options are a little bit limited based on the geography out here. You can see he's really steep on that hill, not that high up, but I mean the vehicle is sitting on about a 45 or 50 degree angle. push in there. Look for those canines. Look the other way, coming the opposite direction, westbound. Yeah, up there. See if they're up there. It's those guys. It's the white trucks. Those guys. Once again, looking for any indication of movement coming from inside the vehicle. You can still see, I think, those windshield wipers still on. We have not seen those wheels move at all, though in the initial moments after the crash, he was trying to accelerate and then reverse off of the hillside back onto Mulholland Drive. But since then, we have not seen any other movement whatsoever coming from this vehicle. He is stuck there with nowhere to go, very few options, and whether he is conscious and alert, we have no idea, or it's possible he was injured in the crash. We just don't know. All right, so a little bit of an update as we continue to watch the LAPD get into position here, strategizing a way to extract the driver of this stolen SUV. There are now numerous officers in place to the left, east, and west on Mulholland, and also above the pursuit vehicle there, above that cliff. There's additional units up there in the event he was to go running up there. They can't really get a good visual of him from those houses, but in any event, they have the entire area surrounded now. LA City Fire is now in position, and it appears they may be preparing to smoke the suspect out of the vehicle. They'll use less than lethal hardware to penetrate that rear window, and then they will likely deploy some type of a gas canister that will hopefully force the suspect out of the vehicle. If that doesn't work, they've got the K-9 units ready. They will approach the vehicle at some point here, and they have enough units now in position that if the suspect was to go running away from the scene here, they have plenty of manpower to take down the suspect. So it's going to be a methodical arrest here. Not a simple one, but in any event, it does appear they are getting ready to move in here. Pull out slightly. We want to see when they're going to try penetrate. Is that wheel moving? All right. Keep the whole vehicle in frame here. I think they're gonna blow one of those windows out. I'm not sure which one. That's good. Let me know if you see them getting ready. Once again, continuing to order the suspect out of the vehicle. They've been trying for the better part of at least 40 minutes now. About that, right? About 40 minutes? Half hour, 40 minutes? And he is refusing. He has shown no signs of movement here in the last half hour. All right, widen out a little bit. There might be somebody approaching. That guy right there. So we'll keep both of them in the frame. They will likely deploy a beanbag here. LAPD approaching the rear of the SUV. They're warning the suspect to come out. You can see those arrest teams near the bottom of the screen. Getting a little bit closer, closing the distance between those black and whites and the vehicle, which has not moved again for the better part of now 40 minutes. And they're going to try and blow out one of those windows here and see if they can get any kind of response from that driver. Copy that. Thank you. I can't tell where it's. Is it the officer on the right there, or I think he's the one. Likely going to go for that rear windshield, I would imagine. Once again, a 10 standoff here along Mulholland Drive near Laurel Canyon. You can see LAPD now preparing to move in on this suspect, this driver, who has refused to come out. We haven't seen any movement, and in the absence of any surrender, they are going to proceed with caution here. They're going to start with less than lethal rounds, try and provoke that suspect to come out of the vehicle, and then if that doesn't work, in all likelihood, they'll try and smoke him out. They've got canine units ready. They've got the entire area surrounded with law enforcement. Ambulances standing by after a wild chase through the Hollywood Hills, coming to an end around one of these hairpin turns along Mulholland Drive. It is was a very tense chase, and now a tense standoff as they try and safely bring this suspect into custody. All right. Several beanbags now being fired at the passenger side of the SUV. Hard to tell whether it penetrated the window. Presumably it has, but it was not aimed at that rear windshield. Instead, it was the right rear passenger window that was struck just moments ago. And still no movement from that driver's side. Here comes an arrest team now moving in towards the vehicle. Officers with their guns drawn, shields up. And it looks like there's some smoke emanating from that rear window. So they've now inserted a gas canister, it looks like. We'll see if that prompts any movement from that driver's side window. Still nothing.
Chase Air 7 HD live over the police standoff. Plus, 34 people shot in L.A. in just the last week. What's happening on the streets in 60 seconds.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
This is heart-stopping stuff. Once again, going the wrong way. Now riding the oncoming shoulder. Oh, he's spinning out at the top of Mulholland, up the hillside at Mulholland Drive.
Breaking news at 11 o'clock, a wild chase on iconic Mulholland Drive in the Hollywood Hills comes to an end in dramatic fashion. Air 7 HD capturing the chaotic conclusion of a pursuit that began in Van Nuys, traveling at dangerous speeds on the 101 freeway. The suspected stolen vehicle blowing through intersections and swerving in and out of oncoming traffic. The driver at one point leading police through Woodland Hills and Tarzana before exiting and eventually turning onto Mulholland Drive. And that's where the driver then lost control, driving up onto the side of an embankment just before 10 o'clock tonight. Police have been engaged in a standoff ever since. In fact, there have been New developments just in the last couple of minutes as we've been watching this thing happen. And Chris Christie is live overhead in Air 7 HD with the very latest. Chris?
David, it is an intense standoff now along Mulholland Drive near Laurel Canyon. You can see LAPD now has that SUV surrounded after triple-digit speeds on the freeway. He then was going the wrong way all the way up Mulholland Drive where things got really sketchy. He almost rolled off of the cliff, regained control after spinning out, and ended up, as you mentioned, crashing up on the hillside, likely deploying an airbag. Now, at this point, they have fired several rounds of beanbags into the vehicle. They've blown out the passenger side. No movement coming from that driver's side window, although the window is slightly cracked. At one point, early on after the crash, he was trying to accelerate, then tried putting it in reverse. You can see those windshield wipers have been activated as a result of the crash, and just moments ago, they have deployed 3 separate gas canisters into the vehicle in an attempt to smoke out the suspect. If that doesn't work, the K-9 units are ready. As I mentioned, the vehicle is surrounded both east and west on Mulholland Drive, completely shut down, and residents in the Hollywood Hills asked to keep their doors closed and stay inside if you live in this area. Again, we're going to keep a very close eye on this standoff as these LAPD officers attempt to make a felony arrest here in the next few minutes. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, they are pushing things along. Continue to watch it, Chris. We'll check back with you. In the meantime, another big story now at 11 o'clock. Major mask mandate confusion. A judge ended the sweeping requirements for planes, trains, and buses yesterday. But will the CDC ask the federal government to fight it with some passengers not ready to give up their face coverings? Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand is live at Hollywood Burbank Airport with new reaction tonight. Jory.
David, much like the country at large, the flying public is divided on this issue. There are a lot of people that are excited. They no longer have to don a mask on planes or trains, and they're done with this. But there are still a lot of people who want to keep that safety, the comfort of having that mask on their face, and today we saw reaction on both sides.
I'm happy it's done now. Like, I'm just glad it's over, you know.
Travelers landing at Hollywood Burbank Airport tonight, like those at airports around the country, getting their first taste of mask-free air travel in a long time.
I got to see the beautiful flight attendants' smiles again, everyone's face. It just made me so happy.
But not everyone's happy about it, especially given that millions of children under the age of 5 are still ineligible for a vaccine.
I've got a 4-year-old. He's not vaccinated yet, so I'm trying to still be careful. But yeah, I guess it's time to move on.
There were a lot of people on the flight that weren't wearing masks, which is a big change for me. I'm used to wearing it all the time. It definitely scares me because I'm like, I still don't want to get COVID, obviously. But I know that the change has to come eventually, so I'll adjust.
Airlines themselves could have kept their mandates in place, but within hours, every major airline and Amtrak had dropped theirs. Some passengers found out about the change mid-flight from their pilots or flight attendants.
I apologize that you can't have a more handsome or pretty flight attendant up talking to you, since you can see my whole face, and you got an ugly one today, but I do apologize. I will say this right off the bat, I'm not wearing mine. That's my personal choice. It is up to every single one of you on board not to do that.
We saw video from several flights of garbage bags being walked down the aisle for masks to be thrown away in.
That's awesome.
And today, more entities followed suit. The transportation authorities in L.A., Orange, and Riverside counties all dropped their mandates today. That includes L.A. Metro trains and buses. We could, though, still see a legal battle over the decision handed down yesterday by a Trump-appointed federal judge in Florida. The Justice Department today announcing they will file an appeal if the CDC backs them up. And HHS Secretary Javier Becerra sure sounded like he's itching for a fight.
We are right now in the process of deciding, and we likely will appeal that ruling, but stay tuned.
So the CDC right now is analyzing whether a mask mandate is necessary as cases are once again going back up nationwide. So we wait and see. There's also a chance they could wait until May 3rd. That's when the mask mandate was set to expire anyway. Just kick the can down the road, let it expire, and avoid any kind of legal battle. We're live tonight at Hollywood Burbank Airport. Jory Rand, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Jory, thank you. A grocery store fight caught on camera tonight. A customer is saying that he is injured after workers at a Stater Brothers in San Bernardino attacked him. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter joins us live with what
Copy that. Telemundo coming up in a few. I think they can see him. They seem to be targeting the gas towards the front seats. But, I mean, he's not coming out, so it's not having an effect on him. Okay, copy that on Telemundo. They've approached the vehicle again, but then they retreated again. Okay, clear from Telemundo. Thank you. Okay. Perfect, will do. They're going to use us again, Saru, at the top of the next block, which should be after the commercial. Okay, copy that. 2 minutes out. Ninety seconds. Okay, 1 minute out. Okay, they're approaching. Okay, 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. At this point, his condition is unclear, Chuck, and what those officers actually did just about 2 minutes ago was spray an irritant gas into the vehicle to see if that would get any sort of reaction out of the driver, but it didn't. So for that reason, they have just approached the car. They're trying to break their way into the vehicle to physically remove any occupants out of the vehicle and give them the medical attention that they may need. The fire department is close by just to do exactly that. That is the latest from the Hollywood Hills and News Chopper 4 Alpha. Back to you. You got it. Pull him out. So, yeah. We will widen out once they open that driver's side door, because that's where they're going to pull him out from. No, that's the rear door. They said they would try to pull him out of the front door. Yeah, so there's an officer in the back seat. That's what they're thinking, because they sprayed the OC spray, and they didn't get a reaction. It's like a really irritant, like pepper spray. So they're breaking the front window now. Yeah, they said they would try to get him. He's most likely unconscious, but don't know how that happened. Could have been from the collision. Or self-inflicted. Yeah, we don't know his condition. They said they're going to try to pull him out of the front driver's side door, and they just got that open, so we should see them pull him out here in a moment. So I'm going to widen out, just out of safety. Yeah? Okay, cool. We're down in the air. Okay, perfect. There he is, coming out now. They seem to be handcuffing him, so Okay, code 4. He doesn't seem to be moving, Booth, so unclear. So we'll just keep it kind of loose on the shot. We'll wait till the fire department pulls up, see what they do. Okay. It could be. He could be dead, Saros. So that's why we're just trying to be careful, just in case. We're just going to keep it kind of wide and be careful with the shot just because we don't know his condition. So we'll just wait and see what the fire department does. You should start to see the fire department move into place, I think. Okay, there we go. Yeah, he's walking. He's perfect. Cool. Yeah, let me put in the infrared so we can see because it's pretty dark. There he is, Booth. He's up and walking. Yeah, he's up on his feet. He's hard to see because they have him in the dark. Yeah, you can kind of make him out there. It is so dark down there. It would really help if they could put a light on him. It's really dark because they turned the night sun off now, so we can barely see. Yeah, we were getting our light from the night sun and he turned it off. But here's the fire department pulling up, so they may attend to him. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Are those clouds that we're getting right under us? Okay, cool. I'm like, why is my shot coming in and out? There we go. It's clouds. By the clouds, huh? Okay, here's the gurney. Man, these clouds. Come on. Clear. Not yet. They're still tending to him, and they brought up a gurney. He's sitting down on the gurney now. Okay, there he is, moving. Yeah, too many clouds. Can't see it. Okay, there he is. Cool. They're just clearing them now. There he goes, moving in. Let me call the desk. Let's have a desk from News Chopper 4. Hey, Booth, so our scene is covered up by fog now, so we can barely even see it. But they did place them in the back of the ambulance. And that's it, huh? Are you good if we clear out, or did you want the foggy shot? Okay, cool, thank you. We're good, Sarah, thanks. Alrighty, desk, we are headed home. NOC from News Chopper 4, we're all done. Thank you.